speaking of interesting, like, my segues are great. Street Fighter V was announced, and it's a pretty big bombshell. It's exclusive to PS4 on the console. It's also going to be on the PC.
Street Fighter V?
Street Fighter V. Yeah, sorry. And the reason it's going to be this way is when this news dropped, everyone just assumed it was a timed exclusive. You know, Xbox One fans are like, well, we'll wait and see. But it came out that Sony has actually put a good deal of money into the development of Street Fighter V. And that's what's gained it its exclusivity. And this, to me, begs the question. A lot of people seem to think, well, okay, they just meant Street Fighter V, but Super, Turbo, etc. could not be. If Sony is putting money into the groundwork, that leads me to believe that potentially this entire game is going to be... this, 5 and all of its upgrades are going to be PS4 only.
Well, according to this article, also PC.
PC, right. And what I think is interesting about this in the fighting game community, and I think the impact this might have is, if someone came out and said that Street Fighter V was going to be on all platforms, but say something like King of Fighters was going to be a PS4 exclusive, okay, that might matter to someone like me who really likes King of Fighters, right? But it seems like everyone in the fighting game community, and I'm not, someone's going to get all fucking mouthy about this. I'm not speaking for the fighting game community, but I feel like that's the central game, right? That's the one that everyone goes back to. Some people might like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 more. Some people might like King of Fighters more. Some people might like Guilty Gear more, but everyone goes back to Street Fighter. I feel like the fact that Street Fighter V is only on the PlayStation 4 is because of that a very big deal. I think that's going to move units to people who play fighting games.
This is a huge deal. This is a big blow to Microsoft, honestly. Yeah. It's a huge blow.
And it's like I said, it's because this is the game everyone goes back to.
This either means to me that this can mean a couple of things. For one, it means that Capcom is in some sort of trouble, that they need this money.
Well, yes.
We talked about that before, about the chance of them going bankrupt and their shareholders being really pissed. We talked about that like 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
The fact that a huge heralded franchise that goes back literally 25 years now needs money to put out their next game, that is so strange. Yep. So strange. This isn't a small company. This is Capcom, one of the major AAA sort of publishers. This is a head scratcher. When you told me this at first, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
But it does. It does from a financial standpoint. And I mean, when you look at other stuff that's coming up on their horizons, like Resident Evil Revelations 2, and like the Resident Evil remake, I mean, that's a remake of a remake. Revelations 2 is probably going to reuse a lot of assets. I mean, everything else they're doing is... I mean, they don't have a lot of money or production power right now.
Is this a play to get Sony to invest in them maybe more? And I'm not talking about business stuff, but maybe be almost like a, sort of a minor stake shareholder, and maybe eventually they want to turn all Capcom PlayStation exclusive? Is this maybe a first play at that? It could be an interesting go. I don't know.
I felt that was potentially the case, but we've talked about this before. Sony doesn't have a lot of money either. I don't know that Sony is necessarily going to be Capcom's sugar daddy. I just think that they saw an opportunity to get a very big game exclusive to their system. They were like, we will buy this money. Yeah, we will buy this game from you with this money. Mm-hmm. Someone actually, ties in a little bit to QA. They're like, what do you think about the Street Fighter V exclusivity? And why is it suddenly okay for a company to buy out, to buy exclusivity? I don't think it's okay to buy exclusivity, but if the game's not going to get made unless someone throws money at them, then really who throws money at them is going to get the game. That just makes sense to me.
But, let's be honest here, though. They put out, a new Street Fighter 4 game in the past 4 or 5 years? Ultra, Super Edition. Well, they put out at least 3 or 4 different ones, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that hard for them to put in those minor upgrades. It's not costing Capcom much or anything. Plus, when you put in all the DLC that they're charging for freaking palette swaps for whatever, $2.99, they're making some money off this franchise. Do you believe Street Fighter V has a brand new engine from scratch?
I do.
Okay.
I don't think... every numbered Street Fighter has.
So if that's the case, then if you think they're that hard up for money, then... this could be the beginning of the end then for Capcom being a cross-platform company.
Yeah. I also would quickly say that I don't think it's necessarily okay for a company to buy the exclusivity. I don't really think that's what's going on here. But in the case of the PS4 and the Xbox One, it goes back to fanboys and console wars. Xbox One is currently viewed as the bad guy. I don't think anyone's sad, to see, some sort of, something befall the Xbox One. I think it's better for both platforms to have the games. I think it's better for, people to have the choice. But in terms of why are people cheering for it,
I wouldn't cheer this at all. I mean, you always want games to be available on as many platforms as possible.
Yes. The other thing is that people have said is the reason why it didn't go to Microsoft is it's pretty important to note that the Street Fighter V is going to be cross-play between PS4 and PC.
I'll believe it when I see that.
No, they've already announced it as official.
But you've had announcements like this in the past where cross-platform never happened, so I want to see this to believe it.
I don't know that we have. But the fact that Microsoft has always been very, very, for whatever reason, anti-crossplay, it seems, between their consoles and PCs. If Microsoft, maybe Capcom went to Microsoft. I mean, they did get Dead Rising 3 exclusively. If Microsoft balked at that idea... I mean, Capcom wants a global Capcom wants the most global platform to play the game on.
Why would they push that? If Sony put in all this money for people to play it on PS4, why would they push for that to be cross-platform? That would only hurt their sales in some capacity. Is it because they realize that most people don't play fighting games on computer? Is that why?
I think so, but I also think because the extra sales for the bigger fan base, it's not a directly competing fan base like it is with the Xbox One.
Unless they're getting a small percentage of it sales no matter what because they're putting money into investing.
Which they probably are. And I think it's better. They would rather go to any number of, like I said, the PC is not a direct competitor of the PS4. I guess is all I'm trying to say there.
Like I said, again, I've seen console PC cross-platform promised before.
On what games? I've heard everyone ask for it, but I've never seen it promised.
Well, I've heard rumors. I've seen it announced. I'm going back to even the PS2. They were thinking about doing it on stuff. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know. But first-person shooters, they always try to say, "Yeah, we can do that," and they never do it. It's always too complicated to do. But we'll see. Maybe they finally figured out. I guess if it's the same exact coding, they can do that and work the servers together.
We've also got a system that is internally much more a PC than ever before. So.
And ever since the Xbox, they're turning into computers. So
anyway, but yeah, I think that's definitely a big thing for Sony, big loss for Microsoft.